This week, I saw someone online calling for James Gunn to be fired because he was already halfway through his contract at Warner Brothers and he has nothing to show for it yet. So, the username had something with Snyder in it, so don't take it too seriously. But what are they yapping about? I mean, the Penguin is excellent, as we will discuss in a hot minute. Creature Commandos is a month away, which will kick off the DCU. And Gunn confirmed we will get a Superman Legacy trailer before the end of the year. If anything, the future of DC looks very, very promising, and I, for one, am totally excited for it. This is the review of Champions, and I'm your host, Grandmaster. With me is a powerful panel made up of the finest champions Sakar has to offer. Let me introduce them to you. First up, we have the original, Mr. Taylor First. How are you?
Excellent.
Merv, how are you?
Fantastic.
Voice only, we have Mr. Lord Deathman. How are you?
Excellent.
And last but not least, the grand old lady of the podcast of champions, Lokismom. How are you?
Going well.
It's good to hear. Today we're going to talk about episode 5 and 6 of The Penguin. Last week life got in the way, so we're doing 2 episodes this week. Before we do, I want to ask you all to help us out. Like and share this video and subscribe to our channel. And if you really can't get enough of us, join our ranks at sakar.freeforums.net. Nice forum. Set up that account, get to know us, and join our shows on YouTube. You can, if you want to. You don't even have to show your face if you don't want to. We would love it if you do that. Consider this your final warning. After this point, the spoilers are incoming. So if you haven't seen the last 2 episodes, do that first and then check out our review. While Oz is trying to take out the Maronis, Sophia seeks an alliance with them to take out Oz. So, fun and games, people. Fun and games. Did we have fun, Loki's mom?
Yeah, I did. It was enjoyable, and I thought well done. But I did think that these 2 episodes maybe just a little less than what we had up to this point. But otherwise, yeah, very enjoyable, and loved all the twists and turns, and watching everybody become psychopaths and things like that.
Okay, well, I will like to hear why you are, not totally on board. Taylor, do you agree with Loki's mom? Was this a little bit of a drop-off compared to the first 4?
I don't think so. I think both these episodes are just as strong as what came before. Having a great time watching it. I'm also looking forward to see what the new DCU is going to bring. But in the meantime, watching Penguin is filling the time just fine. I think the show has been excellent. I'm very interested to see where it goes. In that now Oz is really forming his own family or gang or whatever they're calling it, while the other 2, the old guard families, are joining forces to try to stop him. And I think that the whole idea of that story is intriguing. So yeah, I'm having perfectly good time so far.
Lord Duffman, Marvel fan. Are you DC fan as well? And do you love the Batman and all his villains and stuff that's happening in the show?
Yeah, as far as DC, I like it just fine. I'm much more of a Marvel person, but that's not to take away any of the great stuff that DC has put out over the years. That said, I'm not a huge fan of Batman or Batman lore or Batman villains, but I certainly do like this show. And I feel that the last 2 episodes I think have been equal to the quality of some of the ones that have come before. I'm not really detecting a decline in the storytelling ability. I think the biggest challenge for me watching the show is I don't know about everybody else, but I really find Oz to be a very hard character to pin down in terms of if this was the log line about the character, this is what you would say about him, this is your thesis. But the fact that he is so slippery and mercurial, I think is a part of the show's appeal. So my quick take is two great episodes.
Okay, well, that's good. Merv, what are your thoughts on episode 5 and 6? Quick thoughts.
Quick thoughts. I thought they continued the same top quality trajectory that the first several episodes brought us. I think there's almost a breaking point between these episodes where like we see the last step in a rise to power to both these characters, and then like in episode 6 we see like a bit of a time jump, and then we're kind of seeing these how they're handling the continuation of power. So I mean, I thought both episodes were really good for, different reasons, different highlights in both.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Taylor, if I were to ask you, is there anything they could improve or should have not done, or should have done better in these episode 5 and 6? Could you point something out?
We could have had more of the same. They just added more Maroni,
Mm-hmm.
more Sophia, more Oz. All of that would have been welcome as far as I'm concerned.
Less mama.
I think we're gonna have less mama here pretty soon, based on the end of the last episode.
That could very well be the case. I'm rooting for you, Sophia. But anyway, well, give me your deep dive, Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't have a whole lot to say. I think it's just being done brilliantly. The acting is incredible. I recently rewatched Daredevil from 2003 or whatever year it was with Ben Affleck, and of course Colin Farrell plays Bullseye in that. And as I'm watching it, and I usually don't do this, but as I'm watching it, I just could not stop myself from comparing his performance as Bullseye, which was just so over the top and so crazy and so great, to his performance as Oz in this show, which is so so much more grounded, so much more subdued, and so much more internal. But both equally brilliant. He's just an incredible actor. Whatever it is you're telling him to do, he does it to 11 apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as this show goes, I'm liking the storyline. As I said, there's a lot of turmoil in the criminal world here, which is, and of course, if you go back, this is all being caused in large part by the actions of the Riddler. He was responsible for Falcone's death, and that gave the opportunity, of course, for Sophia to come in and her rise to power, and the whole destruction of the Falcone family. Really, now it's a new family, the Gigante family. And then, of course, that created all kinds of openings for Oz and his manipulation and tricking of the Maroni family. Anyway, it's all just very brilliantly written and executed and paced. There's no lulls. There's no boring parts. There's no what some people refer to as like filler episodes or whatever they call it, stuff that's not needed or unnecessary or redundant. It just goes boom, boom, boom. And of course, the development of Victor is also a big part of this show. And of course, in the last episode, he had killed someone with his car to save Oz earlier, but in this most recent episode, he just he straight up capped a guy and knew that ahead of time that he may have to do that. He tried not to, but the guy gave him no choice, and he didn't hesitate. He blew the guy away, Squid or whatever his name was. So definitely big development there. And of course, how Oz told him without even asking him, "Did you kill a guy?" Because he just knew from the interaction. It gets easier. Just brilliant. So yeah, I'm just loving it, and of course, I can't wait to see what happens now that Sophia has found Victor and Oz's mother. I don't think it's going to be pretty, whatever happens.
No, blood will be spilled. Lokismom, let's have it. Why had the feeling it was a little bit less than what we had before?
Well, I watched both these episodes back to back. since we didn't do last week's show, I didn't watch it the week before. So it was when I think maybe if I had not done that, I would feel a little bit different about it. But I thought it slowed down some. It was some repetitions. We've already established that Sophia and Oz are psychopaths and ruthless and will do anything. And of course, it was some time had to pass for them to grow the mushrooms and whatnot. So we had that big jump cut to winter. And but this kind of right back to where they are. Of course, they're still in that cold without no power and all that, and they're struggling, and I understand that. But it was just a little too much of that, I thought, and it was almost like they could have maybe even compressed these 2 episodes together. And I think it would probably went better, at least for me. But otherwise, I mean, I'm not really saying that the overall quality hasn't really gone down. I mean, excellent writing, excellent acting, everything. The ending, of course, of the episode, the last episode, I can't remember which number it is, but where the lights come on, okay, all righty. Now, finally, we're going to see Oz start. I want Oz to hurry up and start getting on top and becoming the Penguin, becoming the crime lord of Gotham. That's what I want to see. I'm getting anxious for that.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, okay. I get what you're saying. I also watched them back to back. I didn't watch the show last week because I had no time. And I actually felt a little bit the same. Yeah, I know why they put all those scenes in there. Like Taylor said, it's boom, boom, boom. The pacing is great. The quality is great. It's not that I'm complaining about him, but I do want to see that confrontation between Sophia and Oz happening. And I'm actually also anxious for that. So I get what you're saying, Lokismom. I really do. Merv, can I have a deep dive?
Sure can. I'll start with episode 5, which was the one from 2 weeks ago. I loved it. I thought this episode was fantastic. It would basically following up on what Oz is up to while Sophia's gassing her family, and then we follow up with that with the following several days or whatever, checking back in with Sophia and Oz. And Oz, he was going to burn the Maroney family before they even betrayed him. So he was out to kill everyone in the Maronis right out of the gate. And I love that because he is not backpedaling. He is aggressive and he is going after these other families to take power. I loved it. Sophia, on the other hand, the one flaw or misstep I think in this episode. Well, let me say that her handling of I can't remember his name, Vidi, whoever she had captured in the cemetery mausoleum and was pouring water on him and was the only remnant of the former Falcone family. Her handling of him, I thought, was fantastic. I loved the way that she represented herself and stepped into being a boss and gave him. I don't even know that he had an opportunity to survive, but it felt like he might have if he would have just kept his mouth shut. And as soon as he opened it, she shot it off. And I just loved that aspect of her character. I thought it was just the boss move and again endeared me to her, even though she's a psychopath too. She's not innocent in any of this. She's not a morally good character to support. But
popping Johnny Vidi was like her
yes.
showing I'm the boss now.
Yes.
Because he was thinking he was her second man, and then he was just like, no, you're the example I'm gonna set.
Yep. And it was, if you think about it, they don't show her wheels turning, but if you think about her, she needed the money to get everyone else on board. And as soon as he said, you need me for respectability, I could see her thinking to herself, yeah, I do. If I massacre you in front of all these other people, they'll respect me. You know what I mean? It's not like I need you alive. I need to make an example out of you to show that I'm in charge now, and I really love that. And, her stuff with her therapist, they can give it or take it. But I just love where her character's at the moment.
That guy's being used as well.
Yeah, yeah,
tied to a chair.
but he seems to like it. So
Yeah, well, I
you
would
know,
too.
you know. But the one thing that I kind of thought was either a misstep or it didn't really resonate with me was her alliance with Maroni. It starts in this episode, continues in the next one, and especially in the next episode, in episode 6, they seem to have like an okay rapport. But I think it is walking back like her idea of starting a new thing, because I feel like eventually Maroni's not like a side piece. You know, he's gonna want to be in charge, right? He's Salvatore Maroni. So why she wouldn't see that coming, or maybe she does and she's just planning for it. You know, this show's really good at, like, you know, having the characters be quicker than me at watching the show. So maybe that's the plan. But I didn't really see that alliance coming, and I think it's going to be very short lived, or at least that was my assumption before episode 6. And now I'm not really even sure what Salvatore is bringing to the table, honestly, at this point. Obviously, there's stuff, but yeah, I thought episode 5 was fantastic. Episode 6 is a little bit of a reestablishment episode. Like, we do a little bit of a time jump and we see where the people are, and we see really that Sophia and Maroni are after Oz, and that Oz has built this empire that's, you know, taken all the drugs. I loved his speech at the Gold Sign, where he gathers all the low level guys and is like, we don't need to be low level. Let's just align ourselves and deal with it. And I'm not sure if they acknowledge him as their leader or if they think it's going to be a mutually beneficial thing. I've even heard some weird rumors that he poisoned all the beer and they're all just going to die. And I'm like, I didn't really see that. But, you know, hey, maybe the show's doing that. But that final shot with, I guess that episode 6, I thought developed Vic a lot. Obviously, I love the way that they're descending him into being a full-blown criminal without it being like he's not born a psycho. He's not out for any nefarious purpose. It's just these are the best opportunities provided to him that he's willing to accept. I mean, you could argue he had an opportunity to leave town with his girlfriend and maybe he would have had a good life or whatever. But at this point, like, he sees these two avenues and he's choosing the morally questionable one every time, but it's paying off for him in the short term. But I think it's going to be very short term based on how this episode ends with Sophia in the doorway with a crowbar at Mama Penguin's house. So, yeah, I really enjoy where this show's going. I can't wait to see how this season wraps up. Obviously, there's more than one episode left, but I think we're entering the end game, so to speak, of it.
Yeah, we're definitely in Act 3. Before I move to Lord Deathman for his deep dive, English is hard sometimes. I go to Taylor for a follow-up.
Yeah, just real quick on Sophia's psychiatrist. I saw a lot of comments earlier in the season of people saying that he was manipulating her. And I was never really on board with that idea. And I think we've seen now in the most recent episodes that no, he's obsessed with her and she's manipulating him. He's the Harley Quinn. He's the Harleen Quinzel to her Joker, if he exists at all. I've seen some theories that he doesn't even exist at this point, but I think he exists. But he's definitely not controlling her. He's her puppet.
By the way, that actor, her therapist, I don't know his name, but
Theo Rossi.
Yeah, but I think his style of acting reminds me a little bit of Forrest Whitaker.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's a little bit the same vibe he gives off. But anyway, Lord Deathman.
He played a big role in Luke Cage series. He was one of the villains in that on Netflix, and he did a great job there too.
He's also a main character in Sons of Anarchy, which is a pretty good show.
Okay. Lord Deathman, let's have your deep dive. Any criticisms from your side, or is this another straight 10 show?
I wouldn't call this a flawless execution, but I have to say that I'm very satisfied with the overall quality of the show. And the last 2 episodes were great. I would go as far as to say they were better than good. Sure, there was 1 or 2 things where I'm like, this doesn't quite ring true. I didn't really see Oz as the kind of sort of great gatherer of men and sort of, handing out beers and playing the politician to unite people. That didn't seem right for his character, but I understand how they needed to use it as a plot device to kind of keep his machinations moving forward. And again, I think this show has great spectacle. It has great twists and turns. It's a wonderful crime drama that people like to liken to The Sopranos a lot. I think that comparison is a bit superficial, but hey, it's the easiest thing for the shelf to reach for in terms of making a comparison. I think that this is different than that show, but for me, it's really Oz. Like yeah, I find him to be an endlessly fascinating character, and that's what keeps me watching the show. He is surrounded by fascinating characters, but he himself, um, I was to make a very quick digression. I was watching another movie by Martin Scorsese called Cape Fear. If you've never seen it, it's a great movie. And at one point in the movie, the villain and the hero sort of have a confrontation, and they talk about, why the villain kind of talks about why it is he's so angry at the protagonist for causing all this pain and injury in his life. And the big deal at the end of it, despite the fact that he cost this man years of his life and all these other things that happened to him that befall him along the way, the biggest thing he was upset about is that the protagonist had betrayed him. And throughout all of human history, breaking an oath, not being loyal to someone, not having someone's back, that's always a hanging offense. And I find that Oz is the great traitor of our time, right? He's just exceedingly good at betraying someone. And I don't know what it is in the human psyche that makes that a bigger crime than, say, like the mass murder of children. But I really do feel he does belong in the ninth circle of hell because he is a formidable traitor and also a fantastic escape artist. So you put him in a Houdini like straitjacket in terms of a situation, and he snaps his fingers and he's able to kind of get out of it. And you're like, how? How did this guy figure out a way out of yet another situation? But
Yeah.
anyway, to sum up, I thought there's I'll just mention one weird moment in episode I think it's called Homecoming, where this is immediately after the aftermath of the gassing of the family. Sophia has to talk to like a police captain or maybe it's a fire chief. That guy has the weirdest accent I've heard in a long time on TV. Go back and revisit it. You're like, who was he challenging? Who was he channeling as a character? Weird, but great episode. Other than that, Victor is progressing along in his criminal development quite nicely. I still think the stuff with the mother as a part of the character study is great. And the last episode, which the name eludes me, but also a great episode from start to finish. I think it was called Gold Rush or Gold Summit or something like that. But the great part of that episode is that whenever you see a woman kind of become the head of a mafia family, it's always treated as a novelty. Like, yeah, now I am in charge and I'm a babe. Get it? But I think that they've gotten around that particular stereotype, and she's a very credible head of her family, and I'm liking her in the position. And I like the fact that she's united the families to go after Oz, and we still have to kind of see him as this escape. How are you going to get out of this now? And I think that's the thing that gets you from episode to episode in this show in such a great way.
Yeah, I agree. Um, well, let's just do a rating. One for episode 5 and one for episode 6. I think that's called for. Merv, you're up first.
I'll give episode 5 a 9. I'll give them both a 9. I think I probably enjoyed episode 5 a little more, but I thought episode 6 was very important to Vic's character. So looking back on it, like I really liked episode 6 for a lot of Vic. So I'll give them both a 9.
Okay, Lokismom.
Episode 5, I think, which I think is one that was just a tiny bit weaker than the other, so I'm going to give it an 8, and then for 6, I'll give it an 8.5.
Okay, fair. Lord Deathman?
Yeah, I'm going to give episode 5 a 9. I actually thought it was the stronger of the two, and then episode 6, I think just lowering it a bit at maybe an 8.5.
Okay. Taylor?
Yeah, I'll give episode 5 a 9, and I'll give episode 6 a 10 for a couple of reasons. One, the conversations that happened there. Oz with his mother, and his mother coming to terms with her condition. Sophia, the way she tracked him down, and the conversation between her and Oz's girlfriend. Brilliant, just brilliant writing. And I got to give a 10 for my favorite scene of the show so far, Oz torturing the city councilman with needle nose pliers up his nose. Was just freaking hilarious. And then giving him instructions on how to back his car out.
Yeah, well, he's nice like that. I'm with Merv. I give both episodes a 9. I think the show has an excellent quality, consistent, and I really hope they stick the landing because, all too often we have seen shows fall off. But anyway. This will conclude this review of Champions for episode 5 and 6 of The Penguin. We hope you have enjoyed our discussion today. If you did, help us out. Like and share this review and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you really want more of us, you can join our forum at sucar.freeforums.net. Do that. Click on the link in the description, people. Next week, we will talk about episode 7 of The Penguin, and you can check out our review series for Agatha All Along and our brand new TNG Season 1 episode of the Star Trek Project. For now, I thank you all, also on behalf of our champions, and wish you to always walk steady. Bye.